Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. It's another week, man. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. I'm doing all right. I can't say that I've had anything too exciting going on here in the past week. Been hitting a few golf balls and getting teased by the sunny weather yet cold weather up here in old Detroit. But other than that, it's been pretty good. Like I said, looking forward to spring getting here. There's a couple warm days coming up here. Then we also got March Madness hitting, which I know as much as I mean, I'm a big college basketball fan. I watch that way before I watch any like NBA stuff or anything like that. So super excited to see some college basketball. Hopefully the old Spartans do well. It's going to be iffy. It's one of those. They're a strange team, and they can play with Purdue up and lose by a point, or then they can get blown out by any other random team depending on the day. So going to be interesting. Hopefully your team made it to the tournament. Hopefully you'll be cheering them on this weekend. I'm going to try to watch a little basketball today and tomorrow. I know I'm recording this on Wednesday. Show it comes out on Thursday. Gonna have some basketball on Thursday, and then Friday. I know the Spartans play early, 12 o'clock. So, but I think the first 2 days, and I know this is a golf podcast, but the first 2 days of the NCAA tournament, I absolutely love. It's one of those basketball from noon till midnight, and it's tons of great games. There's tons of close finishes, teams you've never watched throughout the year, and stuff like that. So I just really like it. It's exciting and fun. Like I said, Thursday, Friday are my favorite days of the tournament. Honestly, I like them better than the Final Four days. It's just more fun to see all these games, and hopefully we'll see a bunch of close ones, and we'll see some heartbreak, we'll see some upsets, and my bracket will be busted within like 3 or 4 games, because that's just the way it goes every year. Every year I'm in a couple different bracket groups, and every year I'm pretty much guaranteed to just donate money to whoever wins. So it's been like that ever since like high school or whatever, when I've started filling out brackets. But yeah, hopefully you guys, like I said, having a good week. I'm like I said, excited to get a little bit closer to golf season here, when I can go outside, hit some balls, all that. I'm still stuck indoors, still going to the dome. It's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. So I just accept it and kind of do what I got to do, and hit as many balls as I can and get ready for the season. So yeah, other than that, been tinkering around. Was building a set. Just got done building a set for a friend of a guy in the office. His buddy put some steel fiber I-95s into a set of OG P790s, the 2017 model. So just got done building those up. Thankfully, it went pretty well. I always get worried when you're making the switch from graphite to steel, or from steel to graphite, which with swing weights, because depending on the heads and the shaft that's in there and all that, it's sometimes kind of tough to add a lot of weight to heads to get them to the exact same swing weight. So these actually turned out really, really close. The guy went up to a mid-size grip, so I was the pitching wedge. I think the pitching wedge and 9-iron lost one swing weight point, just because I couldn't get enough weight in there. I mean, I could put some lead tape on it. I just don't know if the guy wants a lead tape on there, but everything else came out exactly the same. And then bent everything back to stock TaylorMade P790 specs. So there were a couple of the lie angles were pretty funky. You can tell these irons, the guy plays a lot of golf, so went to the steel fibers. They look pretty good. They came out looking nice, and yeah, hopefully he's going to enjoy them. And I think it has that dynamic gold, like 105s or something like that. The dynamic gold 105 in there before. So not a huge difference in weight, but they did lose a couple swing weight points. They were a little light to begin with. They were kind of around that D1, kind of D1. I think they started like the lightest club was like D0, went down to D2 in the pitching wedge. So 4 or 5 iron were around D0, D1, and then everything was kind of D1 until you got to the pitching wedge, which was D2. So everything's pretty much back there. The pitching wedge, unfortunately, is D1 only because that's about as big a weight as I can get in there. And like I said, I could throw some lead tape on the back if they really want to. And like I said, I'm pretty impressed that I got him back, even moving up to mid-size grips. He had standard on the old ones. So, to lose a good amount of weight and still get him back pretty close, I'm pretty happy with that. So, so built that up. That's kind of my latest tinkering. And then also tinkered with, I did a few all-fit shaft kind of swaps. I got the, as you can, well, I don't know how well you can see on YouTube, but behind me is my rack of shafts that I have with all my, with some of these back here behind me have all fit tips. Some of them don't have any tips on them at all. They're just kind of displays back there. But ripped out, I pulled an all fit tip off a hazardous green or hazardous smoke green that, let's be honest, it was a 6.5 and the 6.5, 60 gram 6.5. And it's just crazy stiff, and I hit it a handful of times to just to hit it, and it's just too stout for me. So I got an RDX Blue Smoke RDX, or a hazardous Blue Smoke RDX that I ordered in my custom Stealth 2 Plus, the one that I did the custom color in. Ordered that, so I pulled the TaylorMade tip off that and put an all fit tip on that, and then also I've got a Kylie White there that I just hadn't been hitting much because it was too long. It came again stock in like TaylorMade head, stock length, whatever. It was like half-inch longer or so than everything else. I pretty much play everything at 45 inches, super long. So pulled the grip off that, which was in perfect shape, and just put a new grip on. So did a few little things around the shop this week in terms of working, and also I know I've never been. I think somebody asked me one time in one of my Q&As, asked me about Iomic grips, which Iomic, if you don't know Iomic grips, they're kind of a different rubber material. Never been a huge fan. I tried playing them years ago when the hype was all around them, and they were like the only $12 grip out there. I played them, or I tried playing them a little bit. I got a few sets here and there. There was a website. I can't remember who it was. Was it like Diamond Tour Golf who got, I think when Adams like shut down, when they kind of like closed it down and that was it. Adams had been doing like an Iomic grip, and it was like a Black Armor 2.3 or something like that. And I remember they were selling them for like $6 a piece, which was like half off. And I grabbed a bunch there and played them, but I never really loved it. I sweat a decent amount, and I just kind of they don't feel as tacky as I'd like when I sweat. But I was like, you know what? I haven't played one in a long time, so I actually ordered one with that TaylorMade driver. I just had it not put in the, they didn't have them put it on, just threw it in the box. So put that on, and gonna go see. And like I said, I mean, every once in a while you don't like something, and it's been years since you've hit it, and it's like, why not try it again and see? Maybe your tastes have changed. Maybe back then something was a little different about the swing, whatever. And let's give it a whirl and try them out. So I've got an Iomic grip there, and then I've also I'm gonna grab it off the rack here. I got I think I talked about them before. I was in like a Golf Galaxy, and I grabbed. I used to play some old Tacky Mac grips, and if you don't know, Tacky Mac is kind of a made in the USA, kind of less expensive grip manufacturer. I mean, they'll never say that they're like a cheaper grip, but they're usually a cheaper option, and they make some different grips. And when Iomic came out, they came out with the Itomic grip, which was a similar, like, different rubber material. It's just like a different rubber. It just feels different, all that. And then they made one that I actually played for a long time. It was just the Tacky Mac Itomic, and it was actually really rough. It was kind of like a tour velvet texture, but like really aggressive. And I played the white one because I thought it was so cool, and white Iomics were like the hot thing at that time. And then I got away from them. I think I don't know if I just stopped buying them or whatever, but got away from them. And then I was in a Golf Galaxy, and I saw the IT2, the IT2. Oh, is this mid-size? No, it's regular. The IT2 mid that they, or the IT2, which was an kind of that same Itomic material, but in a much smoother and not as aggressive texture to it. So it's got like a really kind of I don't want to call it like it's not a tour velvet. It's just got little like kind of hash marks on there, and it's got some different little shapes through it and all that, but it's pretty smooth. But the rubber material itself is really tacky. So toss that on this hazardous RDX Blue Smoke to mess around with. I've got one on another club as well. I don't remember what shaft, but I got one on a Mitsubishi Vanquish as well. But I grabbed about 3 of these things just to grab them, just to put them on, for old time's sake. See if I like the old grips. They're only like $6 each, so they're pretty inexpensive, and I think they actually, from what I remember, hold up pretty darn well. I had one on a wedge that may still be lying around, one of the old white ones that I had, and it's still actually, if you just wipe it down, still has some good tack to it. So we'll mess around with that and see. Like I said, I haven't been a huge Ioma guy before that, but I'm gonna give it another shot. And then these, I never actually, like I said, never tried the IT2s, so it'll be interesting to see how these play. And I've hit a little bit of a couple balls of that, the one in the Vanquish, and it actually feels pretty good. It's like I said, it's a really tacky rubber. And even though it doesn't have a crazy aggressive texture, it's still, I mean, it feels like it's not going to slip in your hand at all. So it's pretty interesting there. So I'll hit a few more of these and see how it goes, and then report back to you guys with how that works. So a few things there. Yeah, just trying to decide what to what any other tinkering I've done. That's about it. So built that set. Yeah, and then just been hitting some balls. So been pretty good doing all that. And then I did get in a club that I was pretty excited to try. As you guys know, my 4-iron in my sets is typically a utility iron. It's just what I've gone to. And it's funny because I was like an anti-utility iron guy for a long time. And the 4-iron utility tends to be pretty good for me, only because for the most part I use it off the tee on short par 4s and things like that, or just laying up. And I don't hit it off the deck a whole ton. And I like having a little bigger head, a little more speed, and they tend to be, I wouldn't call it crazy forgiving, but usually depending on the set, they're a little more forgiving than what I've got there. And the one that came in and I saw it at the show. I was super excited when I saw it at the show. It finally came in. Would be the new Cobra King Tech Utility. So the previous one I hit a little bit, and it was kind of really chunky and big. It had the interchangeable or the adjustable hosel. So adjustable hosel, you could change the loft and all that. This one, they've gone away with that. They've gone back to the traditional bonded hosel. It's got a pretty traditional, pretty cool kind of look to it, just really simple. And it has a little less, I mean, I'm not going to be able to show this on YouTube, even though I'm trying to. It has definitely a little less offset to it than the previous one, and the top line is probably slimmed down just a touch. It's probably just massaged in terms of the shaping, and you actually don't see very much of the back of the club. Like a lot of the utilities, you see a lot of the kind of the muscle back on it. This one, you just see a touch of it, just a hair when it's in that playing position. And then it came in just kind of stock with the Mitsubishi 80-gram hybrid MMT. So the MMT hybrid came stock with that. And the 4-iron, which thankfully it came in a 4-iron because that's what I usually like to play. And the 4-iron kind of clocks in at 22 degrees and 39 inches in length. So it's pretty close to what I play in terms of 4-irons. I mean, like I said, 22 degrees is pretty much fits into most of the sets that I play. Now you can get it stock as well with a steel shaft. It comes, you can get it. I mean, I think the stock option is a KBS money taper or money taper light in 105. And this one's, again, like most utilities, multi-piece head. So you've got the kind of the cup face, the hot face, the Cobra hot face on there that also wraps around under the sole a little bit, so you get a little more speed on those shots low off the face, which I definitely need. And then it is multi-piece filled with foam, and yeah, it's just kind of a classy look. When it's in the bag. When you set it down, it looks good from address. I know I've been raving about the Ping Eye crossover. And the Ping Eye crossover is really good. It performs awesome. I just really don't love the look, and I really don't love the sound and feel of it. And this one has a little less offset, maybe not a ton less. It still has a decent amount of offset to it, but a little less offset, and it definitely has a little better sound and feel than the Ping does. So I was excited to hit this one and just see how it plays. And it's pretty solid. It definitely has a different sound than the Ping. It's a little bit more solid thwack, kind of more of a thud when you hit it in the center. You don't get as much of the kind of harsh vibration as you do with the Eye crossover. With two well-struck shots, you definitely are going to feel the softer face on the Cobra. You're going to hear a little less. It's more muted. And this one here, like I said, when you set it down, I don't know if it's just a shaping thing where, the Ping, the thing about it is it's pretty it's a little thinner. It's not as wide in terms of the top line and all that, and maybe that makes the offset stand out a little bit more. This one maybe hides it with some of its girth that it has. But overall, like I said, if you set the two down in terms of looks, I like the look of the Cobra a little better. And also the Cobra looks a little longer heel to toe. I think, again, just the shaping. I have to set them down exactly next to each other to see if there actually is a big difference between the two. But the top line on the Cobra definitely has a little more width to it. But like I said, they blend the offset a little better in the Cobra. It's not as kind of harsh looking in that transition from the leading edge of the hosel into the leading edge of the club. It's just a little softer with the Cobra, and the whole head in general is just a little more soft, a little more rounded shape. So to me, I've always been, like I've told you guys, I've always been a little bit more fan of a little more rounded toes and stuff like that, a little softer looks from my irons, as opposed to really sharp, squared off toes that some people like that look of. So the Cobra to me fits my eye really well. 39 inches. I think it comes in just a touch shorter than the Ping when I put them next to each other. I want to say that it's like a quarter inch shorter or something like that. Not a whole lot, but a little shorter than the Ping. But out on the range, hitting it, like I said, sound and feel really good. Definitely more solid, definitely softer than the Ping. You can almost, when you hit it solid, when you hit it in the center, you can definitely feel the ball kind of compress and get off the face, where the Ping is definitely firmer. You don't get that same feeling, at impact. Performance-wise, the Ping performs really well. Like I said, I haven't got on the course yet. The Ping I have. I played a couple rounds at the end of last year when it came out. Yeah, I think it was the end of last year when it came out. Was it end of last year, or was it? Yeah, I feel like I played it because I played it at St. Clair Shores, so it had to be end of the year. I played it there, and then played it once this year as well. This not on the course yet, but again, hitting it really, really solid. So I took it to the range, hit it against the Ping because I wanted to see, is there gonna, is it even close? Are we even gonna get anything close to hitting, or for this thing to have a shot at the bag. I'm still going to take it to the course anyway, but just to take it out there and see, does it even have a shot at the bag? And I think it's going to. When you're hitting both side by side, the Ping is still a touch longer. A couple yards, nothing crazy, but you're looking at about 3 yards difference right now. And I do have to say one caveat of the Ping, I did have it turned 1 degree up, because that's the way I kind of wanted a little more loft, and the thing is long enough where, I can add a little loft and not lose any distance. I can actually launch it a little higher. So this is 22 degrees. The eye crossover, I did hit it at 23. I didn't even think about it when I took it to the range. I just kind of snagged it out of the bag and just went. So between the two, the Cobra was about 3 yards shorter in total. Now, again, this is one range session with range balls off a mat. It doesn't tell necessarily the whole story of it. But we were looking at an average of 187 with the eye crossover and 184 with the Cobra. So, like I said, 3 yards difference. Excuse me, not a huge one. And again, when you get a real ball out on the course, hitting it off real course conditions, that 3 yards could scale back as well. I mean, this is just straight launch monitor numbers. Spin, really, really close on both of these. The Ping spun just a little bit more at 38.82 on average, and the Cobra was just a little bit less at 37.32. So about 100 RPM less spin with the Cobra from the range in these range balls. Nothing too crazy. Again, 100 RPM with a club that out on the course, I typically see it go, fly a little farther into the 190s. That Ping actually, out of the rough, you can catch a little flyer line. I've seen it go well over 200 off the tee. It's definitely like a 200 plus club. So the 187, 184 on the range off the deck is probably closer to what I see. I may see a little bit more from a ball that hasn't seen. That's still holding its color and not seen 1,000, or 1,000 plus swings. But like I said, spin pretty darn close. It seems like the Cobra spins just a little bit less. And honestly, it's hard to tell in a dome because in a dome, you're not seeing full ball flight. So in terms of, how boring or anything like that, they both look pretty similar when they left the face, and that 150 RPM isn't a whole lot that you can notice in 75-yard shots. Ball speed, again, pretty darn close. The ping beat it out by a mile an hour. So Cobra came in at 118.8, and the 4-iron or the I crossover came in at 119.7. So again, 1 mile an hour difference there. So pretty darn close. Club speed, let's see, the next one, what was I going to? Oh, yeah, smash factor, which is funny because the smash factor on the Cobra, I guess I was swinging a little bit slower, actually came out a little faster at 135 as opposed to 130. I don't know if there was any kind of like outliers there. And yeah, that's what it is. Looking at the ping, I just like pulled it up, and there's one of them that it's basically said it was a 0.96 smash factor. But wait a minute, 0.96. Let me see. What was the distance on that one? It was so the distance on that one was, yeah, because I highly doubt it was that. Yeah, it wasn't even, it was the second or the third lowest shot, but it didn't have, it wasn't that bad. It was like a 182-yard shot. But all right, so that there. So if we, like I said, if we kind of, I'm going to remove that one. And it actually didn't change the carry distance at all, because I think it was, kind of right in the middle there. So smash factor between the two now, yeah, it's 136 for the ping, 135 for the Cobra. So really, really close. Just went into the Cobra and make sure there wasn't like a 0.96 in there or something like that. So 136 for the ping, 135 for the Cobra, which is pretty good. Now both of these, I don't hit them dead center. I do miss it, a little bit out on the toe and stuff like that. That's usually my mess with these longer irons, is kind of out on the toe. Actually, with a lot of the stuff, I kind of miss out on the toe. And, between these two, I think forgiveness-wise, in terms of ball speed, they seem pretty darn close. And I just hit back to the wrong spot, so here we go. So in terms of forgiveness and ball speed on the miss hits, like I said, if you could see this thing, I know it's on YouTube and it's going to be tough to see, but if you can see kind of no, you're not going to be able to see it. The shot dispersion on the face. I've got a few in the center there, but there's a few out on the toe, one a little high on the face. So I've got a few misses there, and if you look at the ping, same thing. The trend is for center out to toe, and the ball speed all stayed pretty decent. And like I said, 119 and 118 average for me. And with a 4-iron, that's probably not too bad when you're only swinging it, a few. When you're only swinging it around 87 and 88 miles an hour. So I'm not a super fast guy with irons, so when you're swinging at that, that's not too bad in terms of ball speed. And then launch angle, the ping launched literally 1 degree higher. We were 14.4 versus 13.4 for the Cobra. So that 1 degree, it'd be interesting if I would have taken down the ping back to the 22 degrees, if it would have actually brought it down 1 degree. I don't know if it would have brought it down the full degree, but really when I was hitting balls, there wasn't a huge difference in terms of launch. They both look pretty similar, and again, hitting in a dome, you kind of have targets that are hung out in the back wall, so you get usually a pretty good idea of where that thing is going. That first 75 yards, you have a good idea of where you hitting one higher than the other, especially because out there they have two big hanging like bullseye targets out there, so you can really kind of test out on the rings up there where the club is going. But overall, I think this thing is pretty close, and it'll be interesting to get on the course, see how it performs, in terms of turf interaction, hitting it off the deck, and also hitting it off the tee, because there I was hitting it straight off the mat. I don't bring, the worst part is I can like see it from my desk, a package of like plastic rubber tees that I bought off Amazon, and I'm always like, I should bring those with me, because when you go to the some of these ranges, they don't have a whole lot of tee options a lot of the time, and I bought a set so I could make sure that I always have the correct length tee with me. And I literally always forget them, because they're literally sitting up there, and I need to put them in my bag so I can go and hit them. and use them at the range. So knock on wood, I've been pretty good so far. Not leaving them. Haven't lost any yet, which is was pretty good. But the Cobra King Tech Utility is pretty solid. Dispersion wise, I felt it was pretty darn close. I felt these, when you missed it, they stayed online pretty well. Stuff a little off the face with the Cobra definitely kept some decent ball speed. Even the misses I had on there, nothing was crazy low. And shots that were low on the face here, they launched okay. They still got up in the air and moved pretty well. They weren't anything that, you hit it low in the face and it shot straight up and, it was this high towering shot. But it definitely did help compared to probably other utilities that I've hit over the past few years. So like I said, I'm really pretty interested to go out on the course and, like I said, hit this in a variety of ways, whether it's off the tee, whether it's off the deck, different shots like that, using it to punch out in certain cases. It'll be interesting to see how it plays. The sole on it definitely is a little wider than the ping. Nothing crazy, but a little bit wider. And again, I don't mind that. It doesn't look like it has a ton of bounce. But it is a little bit wider sole, so it should play pretty well in the soft conditions. Again, the more solid, softer feel of it is nice. It's not as loud, not as clicky. And like I said, the ping flat out performs. It just, it's got a clicky sound to it. It's got a really firm feel, and this definitely is improved over that. So I'm excited to go out and hit this some more and see how it performs. The only downside is, like I said, I wish it kind of did have the interchangeable hosel, and we could, swap some shafts between some stuff, but or adjustable hosel, and also maybe crank this one up to 23 as well. I might bend it. We'll see, depending on when I get into the course and see what the actual yardage is. What it actually does and how far it actually goes. Maybe I will bend another degree of loft into it. Like I said, it came out 13.4, so nothing crazy low, but also it's not quite as the shots didn't seem as high. They were definitely more penetrating than I would like to see. So if I can bend it a little bit and add a little bit of loft to it, I might even be able to make up a couple of those yards, just like the ping. Launch it a little higher. It's still low spin. It's going to go a long way. So we'll see if I do that. Coming into to the season, and this thing's definitely going to get a shot. I really like it. Like I said, I like the sound and feel of it better. I like the look of it a little bit better. It's just all going to depend on if it performs on the course and if I can hit. If I can hit it as well as I hit the ping, it'll take over for the ping. Like I said, it's one of those where, if I get the same performance and a better feel and sound, why not? But overall, like I said, good ball speed. I think it's going to be a good club to hit. Like I said, I'm excited to hit it out, to go hit it in the variety of ways that I do out on the course. But yeah, the Cobra King Tech is pretty solid. I think it's a good utility. I know people a lot of times ask, utility wise, what people should try, or they're looking for something. If you're looking for a utility iron, this one actually they make a handful of lofts, so you can go anywhere from 2 down to 5. So the 2 is 17 degrees, and the 5 is 25. And then 3 is 19, 4 is 22. So they make a handful of these, depending on what fits in your bag or what kind of use. I know that 17 degree for some players, is that kind of like that little fairway finder off the tee. Yeah, the 17. That's a low boy for me. I'm not going to be able to hit that thing very well. But, like I said, make a couple different options. So if you're looking for something to gap in your bag, looking for kind of a long iron replacement, there's kind of a few different options here. And then, like I said, it is a forged piece. I think it's more just the face, much like a lot of these. They forge the face for a little softer feel. But, it should still be bendable for a degree or two. And I might just go ahead and do that. But the King Tech, if you go to cobragolf.com, you can check out more on it. Like I said, the hollow foam filled, and then check all the specs on it. It's a pretty nice utility wood, and I think it's a big upgrade over the previous one, just in terms of looks. I really like the look of it a lot better, and it has a good shape to it. And like I said, the sound and feel is pretty good. Now, is it as soft as, say a truly forged one-piece iron? No, it's got a little more firmness to there and a little more click to it than that. But overall, it's pretty solid feeling and pretty solid and pretty good. So check out the King Tech Utility. Cobra's new one out this year, so pretty solid and worth giving a try if you're looking for a utility iron this year. It's definitely worth putting on your list to give it a shot. So the next thing we'll go through and talk about is going to be an iron that I was kind of excited to hit and see, and I was kind of excited to see it only because I hadn't it's the Callaway Paradigm iron. So this is the Paradigm, the standard one. The Paradigm X is the larger version. This is the Paradigm one, which kind of slates itself as, it's not slated as a, usually when Callaway comes out with kind of a set of irons, they've got like a pro version and a standard version or a max version or whatever they want to call it. And this one here is just called the Paradigm, and this one is kind of geared towards that mid to lower handicap player. I think it's one of those that, due to the shaping and the size and all that, you'll see it in a fairly mid, say 15 or so handicap, and maybe even slightly above. And you probably see it down to a scratch player or two who are looking for more distance. You'll probably see these hanging out in bags of single digits. If you're somebody who's looking for a long iron, but you don't want something huge with an absolute mile of offset, that's kind of what this Paradigm is built for. So this thing is multi-piece, much like a lot of irons today, and it's got basically a forged 455 Carpenter steel face, and then it's got a whole speed frame construction. So the body is all one piece, laser welded for Carpenter steel 455 Carpenter steel face, and then it's got a whole back section with some tungsten, and the microsphere or the urethane microspheres that Callaway uses to kind of dampen and sound and feel, and then the actual blue, gold, and kind of gray badging. So the look is actually pretty sharp. I kind of like the blue and like true gold that the Paradigm has. I'm a fan of it. I kind of think it reminds me a lot of like the old Callaway Open championship bags they used to do back in the day before they got really into the designs. They would just change the colors, and they used to do a lot of blue and this kind of gold for the Open Championship. But overall, a pretty good looking iron. It's all kind of mirror polished chrome, and then the actual hitting area where the grooves are is kind of a sandblasted finish. Not everybody loves full blown chrome just because of some of the glare you can get. I haven't had it outside in true sun in playing, so I can't say that is going to be a problem or not. They do definitely look pretty classy with the full chrome on there. Like I said, the rear badging to me looks pretty darn good, and the offset or the size is pretty decent. It's definitely on the bigger side. It's got I wouldn't call it a crazy thick top line, but it's got a thicker top line. It's got a little bit of offset, like in the 5-iron. I think it's like 3.5 millimeters or something like that. So it's got 3.43 in the 5-iron. It's got some offset, nothing crazy, but it's got a little bit of offset. Got a pretty straight leading edge, nothing too round, too crazy, and it's a little more compact, a little narrower sole than the X version. So the Paradigm X. It's going to be the bigger one with the most forgiveness, the longest, the strongest lofts. Now this one here definitely has some stronger lofts. Like every iron, it's a distance iron. It's got stronger lofts, and then they take all the tungsten and all the weight and they move it down and out towards the toe, so they can still have really good launch conditions. So even though this 5-iron is 23 degrees, it launches up in the air much higher and much easier than that loft number suggests. Like I said, the package itself is overall pretty good looking. I was kind of thinking this was going to be the replacement to like the Maverick Pro, which is kind of that player's iron with really minimal offset, thinner top line, and it's not that. It's kind of in between. I would say this is basically kind of like an Apex or a slightly larger Apex iron with a ton of distance. So sound and feel are pretty darn good. It definitely has a muted sound to it. It doesn't have any type of metallic ting or anything. It's pretty soft and solid. The feel is decent. Is it as soft as, say, a forged Apex iron? No, it's a little bit firmer than that. It's got a little more click than that at impact. It's nothing obtrusive or nothing offensive, that sound, but it does have a little click to it, and it does have a more firmness to the face, that feel as the ball leaves, compared to like an Apex or a true one-piece forged iron or something like that. So hitting it, you definitely will know that this is a multi-piece. It's not, I don't think they're going to, they're trying to fool anyone with that. Like I said, the sound and feel is pretty darn good for what it is. And I think the people who are out there looking for kind of a max distance iron are the first thing on, to them is not, the sound and feel. They want to set it down, make sure it looks the way they want it to look, and then they want it to go a long ways. And I know a lot of people say, well, I don't need to hit my irons any further, or why does somebody want to hit them further? Listen, there's a lot of golfers out there who don't hit it as far as they want to, and they would prefer to hit it farther, whether they're trying to play up with their friends, and when they walk up to a par 3 and everybody says, oh, what are you hitting? I'm hitting 6-iron, I'm hitting 6-iron. They don't want to be the guy hitting 4-iron or 5-iron or whatever. There's a lot of people like that. Like I said, when I ran the Callaway demo day scene, most people, nobody ever came up, or very, very few people ever came up and said, I don't want to hit it any farther. I want to hit the same distance. I just, want something that feels better or whatever. Everybody who came up, for the most part, what are you looking for? I want to hit it a little farther. I want to hit it a little straighter. And farther was always the first thing that they said. So the Paradigm, like I said, this thing here plays off a 23-degree 5-iron, and the pitching wedge plays off 42. So definitely a little bit stronger. Their gap wedge, if in this set, which they make an attack wedge and a gap wedge in this set that you can get, which would be basically 47 and 52 degrees. For the A wedge is 47, and the gap wedge is 52. So if you decide to go with something like this, you'll probably adjust your wedge setup a little bit. But I think most of the people who kind of fit into this iron, I don't, you're probably going to see a lot of 6 through A wedge orders, maybe 5 through A wedge. And then, jump into your, 52, 56, 60 or something like that. Or if you're somebody who's going to play a 52 and then maybe just the 56 or whatever. I mean, you're going to jump into kind of your wedges there, but it kind of lends itself into that, that wedge style, so you're not having to buy crazy, jacked up lofts there. And then at the top of the end of the bag, you're either going to play the 5, or maybe you're going to put in, if the 5 you hit it really well, great. If not, you'll probably go hybrid or fairway woods, uphill drivers. So I don't think the gapping is going to be as crazy as everybody always comes out and claims it's going to be with stronger lofted irons. Everybody comes out and says, oh, I'm going to change up my wedges and my long game and da-da-da-da. I don't think it's that crazy, depending on which irons go into your bag and which, and where you end your set in terms of being comfortable with what you hit. So I had the 5 and the 8-iron out, and there might have been a wedge, but I think I left it at home and just the 5 and the 8. The 5 was the one I hit the most of, though. Like I said, sound and feel are pretty solid. A little bit of click to it, a little bit of firmness, not quite as soft as an Apex, a little bit firmer, a little bit louder than that iron there, but overall still a pleasant sound. No metallicness to it, no tings, anything like that. Everything was kind of that lower pitched thwack, but it is fairly soft, and even indoors where in the dome the sound kind of resonates and is louder and more obnoxious than it would be outdoors. It was pretty pleasant to hit. So pretty solid. The 5-iron or both of these things. I mean, the 5-irons and the 8-iron are definitely are definitely long. For the 5-iron, 5-iron for me is like a 180 club, maybe 185 if I'm feeling frisky and it's warm summer and the ball's going and I'm feeling loose and the old rotund midsection is actually rotating through the swing. This is a 180 to 185 club, but typically I play it as a 180. That's my stock kind of yardage for a 5-iron. And like I said, unless things are going crazy well, if a shot is 185, it's really going to depend on the wind and some other things, if I grab 4-iron or if I stick with the 5. But with this thing here, the 5-iron, I basically averaged 187, and there were plenty of shots that were in the 190. Plenty of shots in there that were 190, 188s. It was basically, shots that I didn't hit well that were traveling 180 or maybe just slightly under if I really missed it. But for the most part, I didn't hit too many shots that weren't under 180, even when they were off center. Ball spin on off center shots still really good. It was just a really forgiving club. It tends to, like I said, hold the ball speed really well when you don't hit center. It launches in the air super, super easily, and it basically went a long, long way no matter where you hit it on the face. Ball, dispersion-wise, it was pretty straight as well. Everything, hitting in there was pretty much at the target. I mean, maybe a little right, a little left, depending on the swing, but pretty darn consistent. But like I said, 187 there. And then the 8-iron, I didn't see quite as big of a jump, but 153. And again, 153 that's my 150 club. Same thing. If I'm looking at a crazy, frisky night where I'm hitting it really good, I might pull it on a 155 shot, but that's going to be pretty rare. I'm going to play my 8-iron as kind of that 150 club. But that 153 was kind of the average, and there were a couple balls in the 160s. A lot of balls in the 154, 153, 155 range, and then some misses. One of like my worst shots on there was like a 146. So even when you're really missing the center of the face with the 8-iron, you're still seeing balls in the 150, 155, 160 type area, and it is one of those things where these are probably half a club longer than my stock yardage is what I play. If I went out on the course and actually, got them out there and had a set of them and went out and played to see, would I need to pull, on a spot where I'd pull a 5-iron somewhere, would I need to pull the 6 here? I don't know if it's that long. I don't think it's a club longer, but they definitely are half a club longer than what I'm used to playing. And like I said, a lot of that is a lot of people say, well, that's the loft. Well, they still launch pretty high and they still get up in the air pretty easily. So, I'd have to say that these don't come out super low and just go forever. They kind of have similar trajectories to what I hit with other irons. So those distances on those, they are pretty low spinning. I do have to say that. The 5-iron kind of came in at an average at 45.72. So 4,572 RPM, and that was pretty consistent. There were some 46s, some 47s, and a couple 43s, but for the most part, everything was right around that 4,500 number. 45.72, and then the 8-iron came in at basically 5,200. So it was 51.97, so almost 5,200 there. A little more variation there. We saw some stuff in the 6,000, almost 6,000. So, 58.99, some 5,800s, some 5,700s, and then, saw a handful in the 40, even 45 to 4,700 range. So, definitely a little lower spinning iron. And again, this isn't hitting premium top quality balls. We're hitting range balls, which, can kind of vary and spin a little bit. But either way, both irons pretty low spin. Now, for some players, the stuff can get too low spin, and the ball not only does it maybe fall out of the air and not go as far as they'd like. Some people lose a little bit of control if they don't have enough spin on the shots, but definitely lower spinning on the lower spinning side. Ball speed for both the 5-iron here 125.3, which is really, really fast. Again, I was comparing it to like the Cobra there to average like 120. This thing, we're 122s, 125s. There was a 127 in there in terms of ball speed for a 5-iron, and it's 1 degree loft lower than the Cobra, and they basically almost went about the same distance, which is pretty funny now that I think about it. But ball speed, like I said, 125 with the 125.3 with the 5-iron, and the 8-iron there, we were at 110.4. So both of them really, really quick. The 8-iron, you're probably seeing a diminish there in terms of ball speed of how fast things are going as you get into the shorter clubs. But it, like I said, both of them really, really good ball speed, really fast. And then when you get into smash factor on both of them, smash factor on the 5-iron 143, which is insanely fast for an iron, and the 8-iron a 132. So both of them really, really quick. And then launch angle, you're looking at the 5-iron a 14.3 and the 8-iron a 23 degrees. So, and the 8-iron loft is 33 degrees. So, both those easy to get up in the air. 14.3 for the 5-iron. So I was kind of launching it very similar to the Ping and the Cobra 4 irons I was hitting. Shafts are a little longer. Shaft here you're looking at 38.25 inches long as opposed to 39s. But launch wise, 14.3, and most of them were basically 14.5. When I looked down this list, there's one or two kind of 13.5s in there that I probably just got over the top a little bit, shut the face, hit it a little lower. But most, it was pretty consistent at like 14.5 degrees in terms of most of the launches that you see on there. 8 iron, kind of the same thing. Everything from there were a couple 24, 25s in there, but a lot of things, there's a few 21s and 22s to kind of offset that. But both of them there, pretty easy to launch. And then, so looking at that, in terms of the irons, I think they're, like I said, great ball speed. If you're somebody looking for distance, and listen, like I said, I understand. I know people, will sit there and say, hey, it's, the lofts or whatever. These things here definitely go a long way. And like I said, the look of them is pretty solid. It's like I said, got a little bit of offset. Not an absolute ton, but not too bad either. And I know some players don't mind a little bit of offset, but it's got a little bit, nothing too crazy. I didn't mind it when I set it down. It was more than I kind of expected when I saw them. Like I said, I was expecting more of a Maverick Pro type iron, and this is or a Rogue ST Pro. But it's not that iron. It's meant to be kind of in between a Rogue ST Pro and a bigger, more super game improvement iron. So, but overall, like I said, if somebody's looking for if you're a little better player, but you want to hit it a little bit farther, you just don't hit it a long way. You want to hit it a little farther. These things are built for distance. They go a long way, but they are still pretty darn forgiving. Like I said, when you look at the dispersion chart, from hitting balls, these things, landing everything pretty close to within, a pretty tight circle out there. Even the stuff that didn't go, a long way or didn't strike it dead center, it went pretty well. I will say the off-center shots, when you really miss it, you definitely will feel a little bit more firmness on this compared to maybe some other irons. But, like anything, when you miss it, you're not going to get the super flush, feel. But really a solid iron that like I said, goes a long way. For me, looking at, about a half a club longer, especially in the long irons. The short iron, it dials back a little, but it's still a few yards longer, if not half a club longer there as well. So definitely got some speed to them. But like I said, a pretty attractive package. You don't have to go to a super big, shovel, as they call them, to get a lot of distance out of these irons. And yes, the lofts are strong, but these things are easy to launch. I feel like if you took, a set of blades and just bent them up to, a 42-degree pitching wedge and matched the same lofts, you're not going to be able to hit them as high and as soft into greens as these things go. So, overall, the Paradigm, really solid iron. And like I said, if you're somebody looking for distance and a good solid package, definitely worth checking these out and hitting them, because they for sure go a long way, and they're pretty fun to hit. So that's the Paradigm, and that's the Cobra King Utility. You want to check out the Paradigm, CallawayGolf.com. Check out all the specs to it, and then also they can kind of compare them to the X version, which is definitely a larger version. I've got a couple of those to hit as well. I just haven't had a time to hit them yet. But those are substantially bigger. Like when you set them down, they have more offset. They have, they definitely have more offset. They're a bigger overall head shape, wider sole, everything. So they should probably launch even higher and go even farther. I feel like those have they're even stronger lofted, but they have a ton of tungsten and all that tech in them as well. But the Paradigm irons are pretty good. Just don't expect them to be a super tiny player's iron, because that's not what they are. They're a little bigger and a little more forgiving than that. So that's all I've got today. That's the show. That's all she is. Check out tomorrow, Tursky and I TG2, man. Big thing on the golf ball announcement from the USGA. Really interesting. I've got some interesting thoughts on it from working in a shop and seeing some, conforming versus non-conforming, illegal versus not illegal products in the marketplace. So great show there. So check that out. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do, at Club Junkie Pod. I'm going to do my Q&A today. I promise I'm going to be in the office, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'll do my Q&A today. So look for that in the afternoon. And then, yeah, I think if you're, wherever you're listening to this, thank you for listening. I truly appreciate it. You taking the time to listen to me babble is amazing, and I truly appreciate everybody who takes the time. Wherever you're listening, if you follow, subscribe, like the podcast, whatever, it'd be awesome. I know it's stupid. You hear it on everything, but like I said, if you do, the algorithms, all that crap, it helps us out a ton. If you're watching this on YouTube, again, I totally appreciate it. If you follow, like, subscribe, all that jazz would be awesome. Again, it just helps us in kind of the reach. And the more people that, kind of take a listen, and more people that follow, it makes it a little easier to get products in my hands. So it's a little easier for people to say, yeah, he should try something out. So please, if you do that, great. And hopefully you'll ask some questions. We'll hang out Q&A today. And other than that, man, have a great weekend. Watch some basketball, relax, play some golf if you can. And, we'll talk next week. Have a good one.